can't blame him. He's a lovely lad. He always has been. Ever since he was a little boy. Oh, he loves his nana. He used to love coming round to my house. And I remember his favourite thing was that he liked to play with a little set of china ducks I had. Little family, I called them. And he said, Nana, can I play with your ducks? And I'd say, yes, Robert, you can, but you've got to be very careful. You don't want to hurt any of the little ducks. It's a little family. Not that I'd have blamed him if he had broken one, but he never did. Lovely lad. He's very popular, lots of friends, and clever. He'll be going to university. His sister Charlotte is very different. She's quite shy. My Linda says I don't know whether they've got the same parents. They're so different, but both lovely children. Then, of course, all this nonsense started in March. And they suddenly said that, people like me in their 70s should stay in. Shield, is it? Something like that. And Linda said, Mum, you've got to stay in. You've got to be careful. You're not getting any younger. So I did. I do as I'm told. And she did all my shopping and she'd drop it off. And she walked Alfie as well, my little terrier. And when she was too busy, because she does work very hard, Robert used to drop the shopping off and, hi, Nan, he'd shout and drop it on the doorstep. Oh, lovely boy. And I wouldn't have blamed him if he was too busy to come, but he always did if he was needed. Then things started to ease off a bit and people started to go out a bit more. So very gradually I started to go out and I'd put my mask on and I'd take Alfie out round the park, and if anybody was near me, I'd walk away from them, social distancing and all that. And it was fine. It was a little bit lonely, but it was fine. And then in August, Linda said to me, it's our Charlotte's 16th. We're going to have a do at the house, just the family. You ought to come, Mum. It's time. And I thought, yes, I will. It's only a few streets over. So I did. It was quite nice weather at the beginning, and we were sat in the garden and we were having sandwiches and there was a bit of cake, and I said to Charlotte, where's Robert then? She said, oh, he'll be here soon. She said, slept over at a friend. He's been partying the last week because of his exam results, which were good, of course. Anyway, a bit later on, in he comes. Hi, Nan, he says. Oh, lovely to see you. Gave me a big hug and a kiss. It was so nice to see him again. And we chatted for ages, and I stayed till, 8:30, 9 o'clock. Oh, it was a lovely day. Then it was probably a few days later that something strange started to happen. My tea tasted funny. And I burnt the toast one morning and I didn't smell it. Well, gradually I became much more poorly. So I rang Linda and she said, oh, Mum, we better get you checked. And we both thought, well, it can't be this COVID nonsense because I haven't been anywhere. I haven't seen very many people. But anyway, because of my age, they took me in and they tested me. And it was positive. And I was quite poorly. But I could hear Linda talking to the doctors. And she said, well, I don't know how she's got it. She's been really good and she stayed in and all this. And he said, well, we'll have to find out because under this track and trace scheme, they need to know if anybody else in the family was infected. So she said, well, what we've had really is the party, Charlotte's party. And she told the doctor who was there. And he said, oh, 2 teenagers then. He said, what have they been doing during the lockdown then? She said, well, I can't blame them. She said they have been out a bit, not so much Charlotte, she's quiet, but Robert, of course, has seen his friends, yes. And the doctor said, did he social distance? Well, I don't know, it's difficult to keep tabs on a teenager. And he said, yes, I know, I can't blame you, it is difficult. But we need to find out who he's been with. And of course, that was it. It was the party he'd been to a few days, maybe 4 or 5 days before he saw me. And there were 15 or 20 of them together at the party, all celebrating their exams. You can't blame them, can you? I mean, they're young and they've got the whole of their lives ahead of them. But of course they weren't social distancing, and he'd been in the house with me, and he'd given me a hug, because he loves his Nana to death. But of course that was it. He was ever so upset. He says, "Oh, Mum, it's my fault, isn't it?" And she said, "We don't blame you, we don't blame you." And he cried. And she said, "Look, Nana wouldn't blame you." And of course, I can't blame him. Can I?